name's Travis Kelsey, owner of Kelsey Industrial, here to introduce the new gated pipe booster pump that's officially out now. What it is you've got your inlet side over here and your discharge side over here. What we did on the discharge end is so that way you can take it in and out of the system a whole lot easier. Instead of having the steel coupler over here, we went ahead and put a rubber discharge boot on it. By taking care of the rubber boot, you just loosen up the upper T-bolt clamp a little bit. That way you can either slide the rubber coupler forward or back onto your existing pipeline. And that way you can just kick that pipeline right off to the side, grab this booster pump, slide it on out. The weight of the booster pump is right about 225 to 250 pounds, give or take, right around there. We don't have an official weight on it, but two guys can officially be able to pick it up and move it around. Not real easy, but you can do it. We also have a D-ring mounted up here on the top for allowing for equipment to come on in, be able to hook up to it with a strap. And you can also use this in the back of a side-by-side or on the bed of a four-wheeler. You can use your ratchet strap to tie it on down. Now up here, it's real simple for the belt tensioning system, is you loosen up your motor bolts right here. Here's your belt tensioning rod, just screw it on in and it'll go ahead and tighten up the belt. We do have a finger spot here where you can stick a finger in there with the unit off to be able to see how tight that is. We went ahead and used a clear guard so that way you don't have to be able to take this front cover off to see it. You can actually see it anytime that you're driving by or walking by. You can see if your belt's loosening up. That's the biggest contributing factor to the operation of the unit. Now down here we do have a full stainless steel shaft that does go all the way throughout the whole system. Everything is serviceable from external of the booster pump. You've got your bearing here, your seal plate here with the gasket in there, and your high pressure mechanical seal is actually inside of this housing right here. On the back side, the mechanical seal. Now in order to change these out, you just loosen up the two Allen set screws right here, take these four bolts out, and all this slides forward to where you can gain access to that seal. At no point in time should you ever really have to get inside of this unless you've got a jam or a bunch of weeds are bound up on the inside. Then you may have to do something in here. But to be able to split this unit apart, you just take this back end part over here out, loosen up these two bolts, take the clamshell completely off. You can take this whole discharge barrel and slide it right completely out of there, and then you can gain access to the full inside. Bringing it back over to the discharge section of the booster pump, what you can do is you can actually loosen up these two bolts here. It's a groove lock coupler, so that way it doesn't really matter what position this is in, it'll still tighten down. You can rotate this discharge end up to where it's at a 45-degree angle coming up, say you got to get over a ditch bank or something like that, or there's something right in the way over there. Or if you want to actually in turn turn this pump into a 90-degree configuration, you can just rotate it all the way back on over. It'll turn the pump 90 degrees right there. Then you just tighten up these bolts right here. What you're going to want to do after you've already rotated this discharge end and tightened everything up is go and loosen up the motor here to where your belt right there is easily, it's loose. And then just go ahead and rotate this. If you hear any kind of, where it's hitting or rubbing right there, you might want to loosen these back up. Give this a little bit of a tweak and it'll go ahead and, just center itself into there. Once you got that to where it spins real free, just tighten these two back on up, retighten your belt there, and you're up and running. Now what we've got is a GX 160 motor with a 6-to-1 gear reduction unit on there. On average, in the last 2 years of testing that we've done, everybody's running probably about 8 hours on 2 gallons of gas. Now that's going to depend on what throttle you're having at and what kind of head pressure and back pressure that you're putting onto the unit. But just from what everybody's talked to us about, they are getting about 8 hours on 2 gallons of gas. Running about that 3/4 throttle is kind of about the sweet spot where everybody's found. Anything above that, they're just using a lot more fuel than what they're actually gaining. We ended up designing this unit with the end user in mind to where you can service it and do all your maintenance out in the field. You don't necessarily have to bring it back to the shop or to a machine shop to do any kind of work on this unit. All the parts are readily available, especially the belts. The belts with the other units that are out there, not ours, are pretty hard to get a hold of. You can actually go to your local Napa store. They can either cut and make you one right then and there. We're actually running a cogged one on this one, and that's how you'll receive it. But you can run a simple V-belt directly right onto it, which is a standard, B42, B43, right around there, depending on how you like your belts to be tightened up right away. Now for the inlet side, we went ahead and had the inlet part rolled on in to make it easier to slip in and out of your system. That way you're not catching that gasket and locking it on into there. On the shaft, we're not running a propeller on the inside. We're actually running a dual flighted auger. Typically, if it's 4 inches in diameter, it will go through this pump just fine. That was one of our biggest things during testing that we did find. We ran some pretty good sized boulders on through it, and there was no issues at all running through there. So we've had really, really good luck on that. Throughout testing, we do have a test field that we've been doing for about 2 years. It's a 40-acre field. And before the booster pump was actually on that field, it took the guy that's doing the testing for us probably about 2.5 weeks to be able to irrigate that field. And according to him, he was able to irrigate that same field in about 3 days. And that is, according to him, during our testing. We know every field and every application is going to be different. In the same scenario, we went ahead and did a vertical test on the discharge into this booster pump. With the inlet of the water coming on in, we did take it and put a 90-degree elbow at the end of this. We were able to gain about 4.5 foot of elevation head, and it held stable at that point. It did go a little bit above that, but we also heard the motor starting to get drowned down just a little bit. So we are going to be claiming it as a 4.5 foot of lift. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you'd like to check out the vertical test, just go ahead and click on the link below. If you have any questions or if you're interested in this booster pump, go ahead and get a hold of me at kelseyindustrialpump@gmail.com.